The morning mist hangs low over the river. You are standing at the edge of the Vltava River. The water moves slowly, carrying reflections of dark towers and steep roofs. Bells echo faintly across the city. Not loud, not urgent, just steady, like a heartbeat that never stops. Ahead of you rises Prague in the year 1400. This is not a quiet town. This is a living capital, shaped by power, faith, and trade. A city at the center of the Holy Roman Empire. A place where emperors walked, scholars debated, and merchants carried goods from distant lands. But before you move forward, pause for a moment. Look carefully. The city is not symmetrical. It is not clean. It is not planned in the modern sense. It grows like a living organism. Streets twisting, houses leaning, walls rising in layers from older foundations. Smoke drifts from chimneys. The smell of wood, animals, and damp earth fills the air. This is a Gothic city, not just in architecture but in atmosphere. Now step closer. You approach the wooden bridge that crosses the river. Beneath your feet, the planks creak softly. The structure is older than it looks, reinforced again and again after floods and time have taken their toll. Nearby, workers carry stones. They are building something larger, something meant to last for centuries. In the distance stands the unfinished silhouette of Charles Bridge, begun under the rule of Charles IV decades earlier. Even now, construction continues, stone by stone, arch by arch. The bridge is not just a crossing. It is a statement of power and permanence. Cross the river. As you enter the old town, the ground beneath you changes. Dirt gives way to packed stone. Narrow streets open into wider spaces, then tighten again into winding alleys. Every step brings new sounds, voices, hooves, metal striking metal. People move around you constantly. A baker opens his shop, placing fresh loaves onto a wooden table. The smell of bread cuts through the heavier scents of the street. A woman carries water in clay pots, careful not to spill. Children run past, barefoot, laughing, then quickly quiet as they pass a group of soldiers. Look at the buildings. Most are made of timber, their upper floors jutting outward over the street. Some are reinforced with stone, especially near the center of power. Roofs are steep, designed to shed snow and rain. Windows are small, often covered with oiled cloth instead of glass. Above everything rises the outline of church towers. Faith is not separate from life here. It shapes every hour of the day. As you walk deeper into the city, the streets begin to converge toward a central space. The noise grows louder. The air feels tighter, filled with movement and expectation. You arrive at the heart of the city, the marketplace. This is where Prague breathes. Stalls line the square, covered with rough fabric. Merchants call out their goods: grain, meat, cloth, tools. Some speak in local dialects. Others use foreign tongues. Traders have come from across Europe, from German lands, from Italy, from the distant east. Coins change hands constantly. Silver glints in the light. But this is not just a place of trade. It is a place of information. News spreads here first. Rumors about politics, about war, about the emperor's court. People gather in small groups, speaking in low voices. A decision made far away can change lives here instantly. Look toward the edges of the square. Officials stand watching. Their presence is quiet, but firm. Authority is always close. Above them rises the imposing structure of the town hall. Its tower looks down over everything, a reminder that order must be maintained. Time itself is measured here, marked by bells that divide the day into clear, unyielding segments. Now shift your attention upward. The skyline is dominated by the rising form of St. Vitus Cathedral, visible even from this distance. Its spires reach toward the sky, sharp and deliberate. Construction continues, as it has for decades. Generations of workers contribute to something they will never see completed. This is the nature of the age, to build for the future without expecting to witness it. As the day progresses, the light changes. Shadows stretch across the streets. The market begins to thin. Some stalls close. Others remain, catering to late buyers and travelers. Follow one of the narrower streets leading away from the square. Here, the city feels different, quieter but not peaceful. This is where craftsmen live and work. Blacksmiths, cobblers, weavers. Their homes are also their workshops. The sound of hammering echoes from within dark interiors. Sparks fly briefly, then vanish. The rhythm of labor is constant. Inside one open doorway, a blacksmith shapes iron with steady, practiced movements. His arms are strong, his face marked by heat and time. He does not look up. Work cannot pause. Nearby, a group of apprentices carries tools and materials. They are learning slowly through repetition and discipline. Skills pass from one generation to the next, not through books, but through hands and observation. Life here is structured, but not equal. Social layers are visible everywhere. Nobles move through the city with purpose, often on horseback. Their clothing is richer, their posture confident. They belong to a different world, even while sharing the same streets. Common people step aside as they pass. This is understood. It does not need to be spoken. Continue walking. The streets begin to climb. The ground rises steadily as you move toward the castle district. The buildings change again. More stone, fewer wooden structures. The air feels slightly cleaner, though still heavy with the presence of many lives lived close together. You approach the gates of Prague Castle. Guards stand watch. Their armor reflects the fading light. Entry is controlled. This is the center of political power, where decisions are made that shape not only Prague, but lands far beyond. Inside the walls, the atmosphere shifts. It is quieter, more ordered. Courtyards open into structured spaces. Paths are wider, cleaner. Buildings are larger, designed to impress and endure. Here, the influence of rulers is visible in every stone. Servants move quickly, carrying messages, preparing meals, maintaining the daily function of the court. Nobles gather in small groups, discussing matters of governance and alliance. The empire is vast, but its weight is felt here. Every decision, every alliance, every conflict echoes through these walls. Now turn back toward the city below. From this height, Prague reveals itself differently. You see the river cutting through its center, the bridges connecting its parts, the dense clusters of buildings packed tightly together, smoke rising in thin lines, the slow movement of people like currents within a larger flow. It is beautiful but not gentle. This is a city of effort, of survival, of ambition. As evening approaches, the light softens. The sky shifts from pale gray to deeper tones. The first hints of night begin to settle over the rooftops. Return down the hill. The streets are changing again. Torches are lit. Windows glow faintly from within. The sounds of the market are replaced by quieter conversations, by footsteps, by distant music from taverns. Inside one such tavern, people gather around wooden tables. They eat simple meals, bread, stew, ale. Conversations are more relaxed now, though still careful. Stories are shared. Laughter rises, then fades. For a moment, life feels lighter. But outside, the city remains watchful. Night in Prague is not empty. Guards patrol the streets. Gates are closed. Movement becomes more controlled. The darkness hides as much as it reveals. Look up once more. The towers and spires stand against the night sky, their shapes sharper now in contrast. They do not disappear. They remain, constant and unmoving, symbols of faith and authority. This is Prague in 1400, a city between worlds, between medieval tradition and emerging change, between spiritual devotion and political ambition, between the daily lives of ordinary people and the grand designs of rulers. And as you stand here, in the quiet of the evening, you begin to understand something deeper. This city is not defined by a single moment. It is shaped by time itself. Every stone, every street, every voice contributes to something larger, something that continues long after individual lives fade. The mist begins to return, rising again from the river. It softens the edges of the city, blending its forms into shadow and memory. And slowly, Prague becomes distant, not gone, just waiting, for another day to begin. The night deepens, but the city does not sleep. You are standing once again within Prague, now wrapped in darkness. The mist has thickened, drifting slowly through the narrow streets. Torchlight flickers against damp stone walls, creating shadows that seem to move on their own. Listen carefully. The sounds are fewer now but sharper. A distant door creaks. Footsteps echo where moments ago there was silence. Somewhere, a dog barks, then stops abruptly. The rhythm of the city has changed, but it has not ended. Night reveals a different Prague. Follow the patrol moving along the street. Two guards walk side by side, their armor quiet but present. They carry lanterns, casting small circles of light ahead of them. Their duty is simple: to maintain order, to watch for fire, theft, or unrest. In a city built largely of wood, fire is the greatest fear. A single spark can turn entire streets into ash before dawn. They pause at a corner, listening. Then they move on, turn into a smaller alley. Here the air is heavier. Waste gathers in the gutters. Water trickles slowly along the edges, carrying with it the refuse of daily life. Sanitation is not organized. It is managed through habit, through routine, through necessity. A window opens above you. A bucket is emptied into the street below. It lands with a dull splash, spreading quickly across the uneven ground. No one reacts. This is normal. This is understood. Now continue forward. You pass a closed workshop. The tools inside are silent, but their presence lingers. The work of the day still echoes in the walls. Blacksmiths, carpenters, and masons will return with the morning light. Their labor shapes the city, piece by piece, in ways both visible and hidden. Ahead, a faint glow spills from a doorway. Step closer. Inside, a small group gathers around a table. Candles burn low. Their faces are serious. This is not a tavern. This is a meeting. Voices are kept quiet. They speak of change, of tension growing within the kingdom, of questions about authority, about faith, about the structure of power itself. The influence of scholars from the University of Prague has begun to spread beyond academic halls. Ideas are moving into the streets, into conversations like this one. These are not yet revolutions, but they are beginnings. Leave the doorway behind. Walk toward the river again. The Vltava River reflects the faint light of the sky. The surface is darker now, almost still. A single boat moves slowly across it, guided by a lone figure. Trade does not stop completely, even at night. Some goods must move quietly, without attention. Look toward the bridge. The arches of Charles Bridge stand firm against the current. Its construction has transformed the movement of people and goods. It is more than stone. It is connection. It ties the city together, physically and symbolically. Pause here. Imagine the generations that have already crossed this span. Merchants, soldiers, pilgrims, nobles, each carrying their own purpose, their own story. The bridge does not change, but those who cross it always do. Now the hours pass. Slowly, the darkness begins to lift. A faint line of pale light appears along the horizon. The mist shifts, thinning as the first signs of dawn approach. The city breathes differently again. You are witnessing the transition, from night to day, from uncertainty to routine. As the sky brightens, movement returns. A woman steps into the street, sweeping debris away from her doorway. A man leads a cart toward the market, its wheels grinding softly against the stone. The first church bells begin to ring, calling the city back into order. Sound returns gradually, layer by layer. You move once more toward the center. The marketplace is waking. Stalls are being set up again. Goods are unpacked, arranged, displayed. The rhythm of trade begins anew, almost identical to the day before. But beneath this repetition, subtle changes continue to build. Look closely at the people. There is fatigue in their movements, but also resilience. Life here is not easy. It is structured by obligation, by work, by faith, by hierarchy. Yet within these constraints, individuals create meaning. Through family, through craft, through small moments of connection. A baker hands bread to a child. A merchant greets a familiar customer. A craftsman inspects his work with quiet pride. These are not grand gestures, but they define the city as much as any cathedral or castle. Now lift your gaze. The rising sun illuminates the towers of St. Vitus Cathedral once again. In daylight, its details become clearer. The carvings, the arches, the deliberate complexity of its design. It represents devotion, but also authority. The church is not separate from power. It is part of its foundation. Beneath its influence, life is guided by ritual. Mass structures the day. Holy days shape the year. Belief is not optional. It is expected. Yet even within this structure, questions are forming. The teachings of reform-minded thinkers begin to challenge established norms. Not loudly, not yet, but enough to create tension beneath the surface. This tension is part of the city now, invisible but present. Continue walking. You pass a group of students, deep in discussion. Their clothing marks them as part of the academic world. They debate theology, philosophy, law. Their words are careful, but their ideas push boundaries. The presence of education here is significant. It draws people from across regions. It introduces new perspectives, and slowly it reshapes how the city understands itself. Now, shift your path toward the castle once more. The climb feels familiar, but the atmosphere is different in daylight. Activity is constant. Messengers move quickly between buildings. Officials gather, their conversations focused and deliberate. Within Prague Castle, decisions are made that extend far beyond the city walls. The rule of Wenceslaus IV defines this period. His authority is recognized, but not without challenge. Political tensions within the Holy Roman Empire affect Prague directly. Power is not absolute. It is negotiated, contested, sometimes fragile. Stand in the courtyard. Observe the movement. Nobles arrive, their clothing signaling wealth and influence. They speak with controlled gestures, aware that every word carries weight. Servants move around them, silent but essential. This is governance in motion, not abstract, not distant, but immediate and human. Now step back. Return your attention to the city as a whole. From this vantage point, patterns emerge. Trade routes feeding into the marketplace. Religious structures anchoring communities. Residential areas clustering by craft and status. It is not random. It is organized through necessity and tradition. Yet it is also vulnerable to disease, to fire, to political instability, to the shifting balance between authority and belief. This is the reality of 1400. A world without certainty, but not without direction. As the day advances, the city reaches its full energy once more. The streets fill, the market thrives, the sounds blend into a continuous flow. Voices, tools, animals, bells. And still, beneath it all, time moves forward. Unseen but constant. Now imagine standing here not just for a day, but for years, watching the gradual changes. The completion of structures, the aging of faces, the emergence of new ideas, the fading of old ones. Prague is not static. It is in motion even when it appears still. And you, standing within it, become part of that motion. Even as an observer, even as a visitor from another time. The sun begins its descent once again. Light softens, shadows return. The cycle continues. But now you understand more than before. You see not just the surface, but the layers beneath. The lives intertwined, the forces shaping them, the balance between permanence and change. As evening approaches, the city prepares once more for night. But it is not the same night you witnessed before, because the city has already changed. Slightly, quietly, inevitably, take one final look at the river, at the bridge, at the towers reaching into the fading sky. This is Prague in 1400, not frozen in time, but alive within it. A place where every moment builds upon the last, where every life, no matter how small, contributes to something larger. And as the light fades, and the mist begins to rise once more, the city does not disappear. It remains, layered in memory, waiting as it always has, for those willing to see it.